Hello and welcome. Good evening. Welcome to Field Talk, where I have forgotten some important steps. Bear with me for a moment. There we go. Now I'm lit properly. Okay. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Field Talk. I am Field Bears. Hey, Roy Bear, what up? I am the Field, also known as Field Bears, here to remind you that socialism always ends in starvation and genocide. Now, I didn't write anything today because I was busy doing manual labor for a friend, helping her get ready to move to Montana. Here's this mythical place full of bison and snow. Like Canada, but actually good. No, I've actually been to Montana. It's cool. So I want to talk about this concept called tit for tat, and it doesn't have anything to do with what you're thinking of, Dom. So, and if Brian Bear is going to hop into the stream, we can talk more about immigration as well. That would be fun. But let's try and get onto this idea of tit for tat a little bit, just because. Oh no. This is frustrating. I'm going to check my speed later. Everything should be good. I haven't changed anything. Alright, I'm going to lower my bit rate. Settings, stream. You are correct. Oh, well, I'm lowering my bitrate anyway. Maybe it's just freaking YouTube has decided to change their things, and I don't understand why. It says that video output is low, which is strange for me. Usually it's either green or yellow, meaning good or okay, but this is frustrating. It's awfully warm in here today. But yes, let's talk a little bit about tit to tat, not to be confused with tats for tits, which is something entirely different. Probably also very pleasant, but not the same thing. Not the same thing at all. I promise. So, like, this thing called game theory. There's this concept of tit for tat, which means that if you're playing like a game where you choose to either cooperate or sabotage then with your partner, then the way to be the most successful is to operate on a strategy of do what the other guy did the last time around. So if the guy is cooperating with you, then you cooperate with him, and you go back and forth like that until the game ends. But if the other guy sabotages you instead of cooperating with you one turn, then the next turn you sabotage him back. Now, the next time he'll know that if he sabotages you, you'll sabotage him back. So he'll probably cooperate with you. But what's really, really important is you can't sabotage him a second time in a row. Because then it just becomes a game where both of you tries to make the other lose instead of both of you trying to win together. It's a really interesting thing. If you type in game theory, you'll find stuff like this all over YouTube, and it's fascinating stuff. But I think that this strategy, it can probably be applied to large groups, because what a culture is basically just a giant shared game. We're all playing with each other all the time, because if we weren't playing with each other, we'd be murdering each other, which is much less fun. So our culture right now is playing a game called Don't Tweet Anything Horrifying, or we will dig up those tweets and show them to everybody, and then you will lose your job. Now, I don't think it's a particularly fun game. I think we ought to quit playing this game. It would be beneficial to play a different game. But right now, that's the game that we're playing, and I think that what we need to do is have a little bit of tit for tat. The left, the social justice types, have been playing this game for a little while now, and they go and they find a tweet, something hilarious, or a video, or something like that, like I don't know, saying doing something along the lines of, my girlfriend has this dog, and she's really annoying about how she brags all the time about how cute he is. So I thought I would turn it into the least cute thing possible, a Nazi. Maybe that, and then the left goes absolutely insane, and they call him they say that makes Count Dankula an actual Nazi, and then he gets arrested, gets charged with hate crime. But that's because the game is a little bit more advanced in Airstrip 1 at the moment. So their game is like on level 8. We're like on level 5, I guess. Level 5 of this game of don't say anything that people dislike, or else there will be consequences. This game, we're on like level 5 of that, but Airstrip 1 is on like level 8, and the EU is on like level 14. But so the game called let's come up with a better name for this game that we're stuck playing at the moment. Maybe the game is called Your Jokes Are Your Opinions and They Make You Bad. I don't know. It's a difficult thing to put a pin on, but see, if we want to stop because in this game, basically the game is the left sabotages the right at every single turn. So if we're going to have a productive game, or change the game, then it's time for just a little bit of retribution. That's hilarious. Town. It's hilarious. So the game is, yeah. I'm telling the rules of the game are: you find someone that you don't like, you find something that they said, and you pretend to take offense to it, or you don't, or maybe you don't even have to pretend. Maybe you really are offended by it, And then what you do is you whip people up and you say that this person doesn't deserve to have a job, or doesn't deserve to be in polite society, or doesn't deserve to be, protect have his rights to speak protected, or doesn't deserve to have his rights to bodily autonomy respected in regards to not being smacked in the head by bike laws. You know, like these are the rules of the game, right? And everyone associated with that person is also on that same level. So if you go to watch a speech by this person, that means you are fair game for the attack mob. I don't think that there we go, attack mob. That's the name of this game. The attack mob game is not productive. It's going to lead to a situation where we're not playing a game anymore, where it's a real fight. It's not and we're not playing with each other. And that would be bad because people get really hurt in real fights. People get, and in a real fight, it's not. And when you're talking about groups of people who cannot resolve their differences except through violence, we're not talking about like fist brawls. We're talking really horrible Civil War stuff, man. It would not be good at all. So I think that in order to change the game that we're playing change the game away from the attack mob game into some other game, maybe the game where we give each other just a little bit of leeway and calm down and let people explain themselves game. Maybe that game would be better. But the way we need to change the game is we have to, give the other side a little bit of a taste of their own medicine. And then after they've had the retribution, after we made a negative move against them, the next turn we go back to cooperating. We go, okay, did you learn your lesson? Do you know how to play the game now? Do you know how to play the game called We Don't Attack Each Other Over Old Tweets game now? Do you know that game? Are we good on the rules of the game that we used to be playing, but you decided that you didn't want to play that game anymore and you wanted to play the outrage, the attack mob game instead? You're correct, Roy Bear. They don't say that a lot these days. They don't say, let's meet in the middle on compromise these days. It's more like, it's my way or the highway. And so that's why I was so upset yesterday. I was very, very angry yesterday. I'm still angry at this whole James Gunn situation. And I think these guys are creepy weirdos. I've watched an Open Secret. I know there's a really stomach churning problem. Yeah. Well, Lily Dilly Dog, that depends on who's running the quiet game actually. If there's a consequence for breaking the rules of the quiet game, then the toddlers will and a reward for winning the quiet game, the toddlers will play and be happy about it. You're correct. Well, it's like, what do you mean by left though, Roy Bear? I'm not sure what you mean by that, because these people, they're mostly dupes. They're mostly people who've been tricked. They're mostly people who actually don't know what they're screeching about. They mostly are just like normal people who don't know a whole lot, who only have a couple of trusted sources of news, and then they get told that something horrible is about to happen unless they react in an extreme manner and make their outrage known on the Twitters and boycott and do all of this stuff. And this is the only way to stop the greatest evil in the world. The fascists are taking over. Most of the people who participate in the mob, they're tricked into it. They're not necessarily nefarious. Most people on the left don't even know what left is. Most people on the right don't even know what left or right is. It's like most people who do things are just like following a guy. Like maybe they got their guy and they follow him. Like maybe there are Cernovich fans out there, right? Who just believe whatever Cernovich says. But you know, Cernovich, he's just a guy. He's not infallible. He's not immune to corruption. He might get corrupted one day. I don't think that Cernovich has been corrupted at this point, but I know that there are definitely people who follow him like some kind of Jesus. Well, no, the tit for tat Lily Dilly Dog, it won't be easy at all. This won't be easy. Changing the game of the culture is going to be difficult. It's going to take years, and it's going to be unpleasant. Because the retribution isn't just James Gunn. It's going to be like several, or even these Michael Ian Black, or the Rick and Morty guy, or these other people. I don't think that these people are necessarily pedos. I think that they're like creepy weirdos who don't understand. Maybe like they're around. They're already kind of creepy, kind of weirdos, kind of pervs, and they're around a lot of people. Like the pool that they're swimming in is so much worse than they are, that they think that they're okay, right? Everyone around them is so much worse than they are on like the horrifyingly pervy scale, that they think they're okay, right? Like, and I guess it's okay to be a creepy weirdo who's kind of pervy and out there. Yeah, I guess that's basically fine as long as you're not hurting anyone, I guess. But just because it's like, but that doesn't mean people are going to approve of you for it. I mean, unless you surround yourself by creepy, pervy weirdos who actually do hurt people, a la Weinstein. Steinstein. I can never remember how it is. It's like the Harvey guy. But yeah, Dan Hammond, that guy. I just watched a video by Wide Smile, another poor soul trapped here in California. I think the gentleman might actually live in the Bay Area. Poor fellow. About the dude, and man, it's like I didn't watch very much of Rick and Morty. I tried it out for like the first season, and it was kind of funny, but I got bored of it. And like the online discussions of it, the fans are just so like, just throw a couple science type jokes in a show, and even though they're like really basic physics, really like ingrained in the zeitgeist of the culture, like anyone who's ever picked up a copy of Popular Science would get these kind of jokes. You don't even have to be particularly nerdy to understand a lot of these science jokes. This is like very basic stuff, but done in a clever way. But a lot of the fans who got these jokes thought that they got it because they have a very high IQ, not because they were taught it. They were taught these very, very, very basic scientific facts, and that means that they were able to see the cleverly played around with concepts in the cartoon. And so they thought they could lord their intelligence over people who didn't like Rick and Morty, even when they are talking to someone who's smarter than them, understands the science better than them, and understands how the show got the science wrong. And so, like, that kind of really turned me off. I didn't want to participate in discussions on it, and I don't really like watching stuff that I can't talk about people with. Because all the people who would want to talk about it are basically idiots with a passing knowledge of science, and it's a little bit sad and disappointing, but, you know, what are you going to do? But yeah, that guy, Dan Hammond, I dislike him, but I don't think. And the video thing, I heard about that. It's pretty gross, pretty horrifying. It's like, but he was in the capacity of an actor portraying hopefully portraying something that he wasn't. But you know, the video opens. I'm paraphrasing. I read some stuff about the video. I don't want the image in my brain because I probably won't forget it. It's like I regret looking at the I don't want to look at it because I regret watching the Project Veritas videos about Planned Parenthood because I can't I'm a very visual person, and every now and then when we're talking about pro-life or we're talking about abortion or we're talking about family and how we should celebrate life, and even when we're talking about really positive things like that, I have such a powerfully visual type mind that pro-life is linked with the abortion debate, celebrating life and birth is linked with pro-life, which is linked with the abortion debate, which always brings up the images of dismembered babies that I saw, and it's really disturbing. So I don't want to look at the video, but I do know that it opens up with him saying that something along the lines of I'm going to be doing something. I don't think you'll get it, but maybe you'll. I don't think you'll get the humor, but maybe you'll surprise me. Maybe you'll be smart enough for it. Something along those lines. I'm not entirely sure what it was. I can't remember exactly what it was. But it was pretty heartbreaking, actually. So, and I think that I think that even though it's like with a doll, the act itself, like I wouldn't be able to not see things. I would just rather go my life not seeing. So I don't want to look at it. But it's like that's kind of like that guy has a lot of red flags, just a lot. Like maybe he's not full on pedo. Maybe it's more like one of those people where they don't understand the boundaries of what is creepy and weird. Maybe it's like, well, no, they said it would be funny, so I did it. Maybe he's like one of those guys. But that's also sort of like squeaks you out. You don't want to be around it. But again, and the other guys, I don't think that they're actually pedos. They're definitely perverts. They're definitely weird. They're definitely creepy. But probably not and probably not pedos. And maybe they're a part of the normalization movement, possibly, probably. I think it's highly probable, but you know, it's best not to try and read minds. And it's really difficult for me to extend this much grace to people who I actively am disgusted by, but I think I should do it anyway. Um, but see, the thing is I want to change the cultural game. I want to change it to the let's all get along game. It's a much better game, but it's way more fun. We get more done. It's great. All right, have a good time at work, buddy. You sure do work late. It's I'm pretty sure that you're east of me, Roy Bear, and it is 6:30 where I live. So you have a late job, which I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. Yeah, that's another important point. McNicktown. He was an active participator in the graveyard. Ugh, man, that sucks. I will try to be interesting for the first half hour of your job, buddy. Roy Bear. Yeah. So yeah, that's a McNicktown. That is a very good point. He was definitely a part of the language police. I don't remember if James Gunn said anything about it's like I'm only not cussing on the show because I want it to be okay. Now Roy Bear says he's working graveyard. Sucks. Oh, hopefully not graveyard at a graveyard. I don't know. That might be kind of fun if you like spooky. Spooky, scary skeletons. Anyway, yeah. Squirrel and me. There's only 4 of you in here. I wonder why I'm so much less popular this week. But again, it's like how do we change this game, right? How do we get out of the attack mob game? How do we get out of this? It's pretty clear to me that so far the strategy of just rolling over and saying, well, we're going to take the high road and not do what you have been doing to us for the past 10 years at all. We're just going to let you get away with doing with saying something far worse that everyone can agree is offensive. These are definitely, even if they are jokes, like no one would make them. These are the kind of things that would get you kicked out of any party of normal Americans. Like, no, seriously, try saying any one of these so-called jokes at dinner. See the kind of looks you get, right? Just one of these. See how quick you get the feedback, right? Just, I promise you, it'll be instant. Instant. You'll get the feedback of, what? So, it's not like these guys didn't know. Unless, like, my theory is that these creepy weirdos are surrounded by Steinstein. I need to look this up. The Harvey types, right? Horrible Harvey Meryl Streep, those people. They're like swimming in that sludge all the time. And if like like everyone's got like a level of perviness, right? Like, I like to look at ladies who have a pleasant shape in the upper region. I enjoy the sight of that. I think it is very pleasant to look at, and I understand that staring right about there in public is kind of pervy, and I don't do that because that would creep people out. So that's why I don't do that. But what if I was like just surrounded by dudes who just always stared right at women's breasts all the time? Or no, that's not even it. What if I was just surrounded by dudes who went around grabbing women's breasts all the time? Just copping feels all the time. I wouldn't feel so bad about just outright staring a gawk at these you are correct, Roy Bear. Secret reason why I got transitional lenses is out. Not really though. I'm joking. I'm kidding, guys. I'm kidding. But yeah, so if I was surrounded by dudes who just always going around copying feels, I wouldn't feel bad at all. Like, what are you talking about? Those guys are way worse than me. All I'm doing is looking. Looking doesn't hurt anything. All I'm doing is looking, right? That's totally fine. I'm just looking. Why are you creeped out? I'm not gonna run up to you and do the honk honk like Jerry over there. And so James Gunn and Michael Ian Black and Dan Hammond, their friends are all the running around doing the honk honk on women's fun buttons, but maybe they're just the staring openly and rudely, type, where they don't think that what they're doing is bad because they're comparing themselves to everything around them that is so much worse. Just so much worse that they don't even feel bad at all. Like this, Hollywood is not a consensual place. We've learned that from Harvey Weinstein and An Open Secret. I'm going with Stein. I'm sticking with that one. Harvey Weinstein. Yeah, Harvey Weinstein. I'm saying Stein. So we learned that from those two examples. Like, definitely, for sure, there are non-consensual things that happen in Hollywood. And we know that from Harvey Weinstein and Meryl Streep and all of those people who were covering for him. They were covering for him. And who's that other one? The director guy? It's like Roman Polanski. We know about him. Alright, yes, I'm going with Stein. So, it's we know about all this stuff. We know that Corey Feldman was molested, but something wrong with that dude. He's not like. It seems like every time he's low on money, he says he's ready to name names, but then he doesn't. Something wrong with him. Like, maybe someone's got something over his head. Maybe he's just like broken, but we know for sure that stuff was done to him. We know for sure he's seen stuff because we know about his friend who killed himself, who was also abused. They were in Lost Boys together. But yeah, it's like this, and people who were like that. That's one of the gray areas for me too. Is the I don't know who that is, McTown. Steinfeld as your Jew pronunciation guide. Maybe I'll look him up after this. But again, so like we know about all of this, and like I said yesterday, like it's time. It's time that art is decentralized. Oh, Jerry Seinfeld. So it is Stein. Okay. I thought I had a lexistic moment just then. I thought there was a T in there. I know who Seinfeld is. Okay. Thank you very much. It was bothering me, as you can tell, every time I go back and forth between Stein and Stein. But again, so like I said yesterday, I think that is very, very, very important that art needs to be decentralized at this time. Like we're just going to have to deal with not getting to look at the pretty special effects for a while. Like the market will deliver us the ability to make our own set pieces. It will, like the special effects people in Hollywood, if they're not making money in Hollywood, they're going to figure out a way to deliver their expertise to artists that are not in Hollywood. They'll go somewhere else. And maybe they'll just end up spreading out all over the country, like in my beautiful vision of decentralized art. If we, not just like on the right, just we as a people, just as a culture, decide, you know what? I think independent films are the way to go. If I want to have a cinema experience, I will support a local film festival. The more people who do that, then, and on top of that, don't go to the cinema, don't buy DVDs, don't buy digital movies, and maybe even cancel their Netflix. The more people who do that, then the less money Hollywood will get, and the more money local independent filmmakers will get, independent artists who are accountable to their audiences, and maybe we'll end up having like really famous filmmakers who have just fans and they get funding from fans instead of studios, right? 105 at night? Golly, that is horrible. It's awfully warm in my studio, but at least I get to open up the door when it's done. Yeesh. So the more people who do what I'm describing, and this goes back to tit for tat, by not giving Hollywood money, we are we are giving them retribution for how they have been sabotaging us for the past 60 years. You know exactly what kind of plant it is, man. Sorry, I couldn't help it. Just because plant. Graveyard manufacturing. I'm guessing some kind of food plant, actually. Something with ovens. Ah, I was close. Not ovens. What do they call it for ceramics? Don't tell me. I know this. Okay, tell me. What is? Yes, kilns. Ah, thank you, thank you. They're called kilns. I knew it, but I forgot it because I have a squirrely brain. No, no, no. For ceramics, it's not called an oven. It's called a kiln, and it gets way, way, way hotter than an oven. And there's a roaring fire inside, and it is generally awful to be around at all ever. Like, I'm surprised that the kilns are inside ever. You'd think they would put them outside, but I guess you have to protect your equipment from the weather somehow, and putting it inside a building is a good way to do that. Boy. I hope you get a cooler job. Yeah, Roy Bear, I really sincerely hope you get a cooler job. That is not that is awfully uncomfortably warm. Golly, I don't know if I could handle it. So, as long as we can get out of the, I think that because right now in the game called Attack Mob, the left team is using the strategy called Always Sabotage, but the right team is using the strategy called Always Cooperate. And this is just, it'll never change because if you sabotage, you get all of the winnings. If you cooperate, you only get like half of the wins, right? So if you always cooperate, that only works if the other side also always cooperates, yeah? And so I should have started with this. But if the other side is always sabotaging and always taking all of the winnings, that means that the always cooperate side is always losing. If both sides are always cooperating, then both sides are always winning, which is a far superior outcome. If both sides win, it is always better than if one side wins and one side loses. Everything is always better win-win. Every time. There is not a single thing that is made better by win-lose. Yeah, that's actually a name for it. So the thing that you have to do is you have to make sabotaging costly, which means that if both sides sabotage, that means nobody wins. See, all right, I've got to address this in a situation where there can only be a winner and a loser. That is different from a situation where there can be win-win. Because in a situation between a child and a pedo, there is no way for the child to win if the pedo also wins. It is impossible for the child to win while the pedo is winning. Because if the pedo wins, the child gets molested. But if the child wins, the child doesn't get molested. So, in any situation between predator and prey, win-win is not possible. So it's not even worth pursuing. We're not in predator versus prey. We could be productive together. Like, let's not talk in terms of left and right. Let's talk in terms of temperamentally conservative and temperamentally liberal. Because right now, the communist types have duped most of the liberally minded people into following them. So, conservatively minded people and liberally minded people can have win-win negotiations, can have productive win-win situations. And when we do, we get amazing things like the Industrial Revolution or the explosion of the internet once it was declassified and the public were able to access it and build on the infrastructure that was created as a very simple, archaic, and not exactly great communication system. Like, better than telephone, but not as good as what we have today. Yes, we could have space marines, guys. If liberals and conservatives cooperate, we could get space marines and it would be super, super cool. We have to defeat the commies. We have to save the liberals from the commies. We have to do it. Like, the mutants like me have to ally with you conservatives, right? We have to form an alliance, and we have to save the liberals from the commies, and we have to convince them that they've been tricked, which is one of the hardest things to convince anyone of. Nobody ever wants to admit to being tricked, because it hurts. It's like someone was smarter than you to such a degree that they were able to fool you into doing something which you would normally not have done for your own very good reasons, but you've been fooled into it. That is a painful thing to admit. It will hurt them horribly, and they will resist. They will resist us. The liberally minded people will resist us at every turn because that realization is going to hurt. Burning away the dead wood is not pleasant. Just because you have to do it doesn't mean it's going to be fun. They're going to come out of it stronger. The liberals will be better people when we're finished rescuing them. They'll be smarter, they'll be better opponents, they will sharpen us better, they'll come up with better, wilder, crazy ideas after we rescue them, after we make them burn away the dead wood. They're going to be awesome. It's going to be great. But right now, they are in serious need of rescue. The communists are in charge of the liberally minded people, and they've got them tricked into thinking that there is an imminent Nazi takeover. And a liberally minded person obviously cannot abide Nazism. Like, neither can a conservatively minded person, but that's just because we live in a society founded on liberal principles, on liberty. It's like liberty is the thing that we want to conserve, guys. That's the most important thing. Conservatives are not happy with the Patriot Act, guys. No one is happy with that. We can talk about if if we weren't allowing the elites in the media and the universities and the government divide us so effectively that we think that we aren't actually playing the same game with the same goal of having a more prosperous, more free, more fair society, and we aren't negotiating with each other to figure out what those things mean, if we weren't allowing those elites to trick us into thinking that's not what we're doing, then we would be able to just move forward. Because that's all that we really need to do, is just all it is just a negotiation. That's it. There's not an imminent takeover of one side who's out to genocide the other. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants a genocide. Well, maybe not nobody, but nobody's sane. Nobody sane wants a genocide. And the sooner we rescue the people from the fear of being genocided, then the sooner we can get back to having a prosperous. I'm not sure I like the word. Well, nation in the sense of a group of people. Yeah, maybe we do need some helicopter tours to rescue some of these liberals from these awful commies who are tricking them into thinking that conservatives want to actually murder them and murder people for their skin color. What an awful thing to trick people into thinking. What an awful thing to do. Trick people into living in constant terror when it's not even real. Here I am getting passionate again. You know, that's something I've just realized just now. The media has been on purpose fooling people into living in constant terror of a threat that does not exist. That is a dreadful thing to do. Just a reprehensible thing. A reprehensible act that I cannot conceive of doing it. It would not occur to me to fool millions of people into being in constant terror of something that cannot hurt them. Hey, Boulder Bear, you have made it at 2 minutes left. And so when Donald Trump says that the media is the enemy of the people, I think that he's right. Because if you have a group of people whose goal it is to make other people live in terror of something that doesn't exist, then I think that that group is the enemy of those people. So, in order to stop this march towards socialism, in order to stop the swarming of people into this country who do not respect our history and do not share our love of liberty, who are being bribed to leave their homes and go on a treacherous journey with welfare dollars. In order to stop this, I think that it is necessary to have a few rounds of retribution against the left to let them know that there is a consequence to choosing the sabotage option in this game. That win-win is superior because there are two winners. And we can't negotiate win-win. Maybe we can't get everything that we want. Maybe that the path to getting what you want won't look the way Bernie Sanders says it does. And maybe there's a lot of risk. Maybe there's a lot of really frightening risk into trying to obtain your desired outcome without the use of force. And maybe failure, maybe the possibility of failure is terrifying to you. But let me submit to you the evidence that attempting to use force to solve complex problems has always failed. And you can try this in your very own life. The next time one of your friends disagrees with you, try punching him right in the face for disagreeing with you and see if he changes his mind. Try it. The next time your girlfriend doesn't want to go and have the same thing for dinner that you want, try giving her the good old backhand and see if that convinces her of your taste being the superior taste in what to have for dinner. Go ahead and try it. See what happens. I bet you it won't turn out so well. Obviously, don't do this for real. But I think we had a productive stream that was sparsely populated. I think that since Owen had another baby and has been streaming at sporadic, irregular times, people aren't. My audience is just a little bit less attentive to what's going on because for a little while there I was going right after him. But I think we had a good talk. I think I got my point across. Maybe not as fluidly as when I monologue it, but I'm pretty okay off the cuff too. So, if you enjoyed the show, please hit thumbs up. Subscribe once I get to 200. Chicken hat on my head for an entire hour, promise. Hit the bell if you want to be notified. There are links in the description to the social places where you can follow me. I'm on Minds, Gab, and the Twitter. I also have a Facebook page that I never use. If you want to sow the field, get on the Wall of Fame, paypal.me/Field Talk. Link is also in the description. This has been Field Talk with me, the Field, also known as Field of Bears. Have a great night, and never forget that socialism always ends in starvation and genocide. Have a great night, all.